Chiefs news, analysis, and opinion every day. If you've been around the channel for any period of time, you know that the NFL draft and the UDFA undrafted rookie free agents are where I clean up. That is kind of my niche in the Chiefs creator community. It's what I love to do. It's my favorite part of the NFL season, unless the Kansas City Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, and it is something that I do a lot of work towards. Every year for the draft, after the draft, every year for the draft, I do individual videos on all of the Kansas City Chiefs draft picks. And then after the draft, I look at the list of free agents that they have signed, the college players who were not drafted, and I make a video on all of the players that I think have a chance to be on the Kansas City Chiefs 53-man roster and or the practice squad. I owe you an apology. I did not make a video over the player who will be highlighted in today's video. In an article titled Undrafted Rookie Chiefs Took Chance On, Looks Like Possible Steal in Camp. Mr. Grisano, not the greatest title, just saying. This is from KC Kingdom by Joseph Grisano, and in this article he states the following. That said, so I skipped a little down in the article. That said, it seems like the Chiefs have struck gold with a 2025 undrafted free agent. Following Wednesday's practice, defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo spoke about undrafted rookie linebacker Cooper McDonald. Spagnuolo said, I think Coop was a really good find. We found him in the rookie minicamp. I thought he did a really good job in the linebacker one-on-ones yesterday, according to Charles Goldman of A to Z Sports. And this is the tweet that was featured there. The article goes on to say, Chiefs undrafted rookie linebacker Cooper McDonald impressing early in camp. Chiefs Kingdom should take note of Spagnuolo calling out McDonald and watch for him in the preseason. The 23-year-old played for 3 different teams and 5 college seasons. He finished his collegiate career at TCU in 2024. With the Horned Frogs, McDonald recorded 25 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks. So, just going to step back a little bit. Complete honesty, sometimes linebacker play all looks the same to me, unless you're Leo Chanel lining up in the A-gap and just plowing through people. Those aren't particularly compelling stats. So, it's easy for me to miss a guy like this. The article goes on. Moreover, he had a pass coverage grade of 86.1. That's pretty good. Though his production took a hit when his level of competition increased. McDonald was a solid player before transferring to TCU. In 2 seasons at San Diego State, he recorded 84 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, and 3.5 sacks. Furthermore, during his final season at San Diego State, McDonald recorded a run defense grade of 68.5, a pass rush grade of 68.5, and a coverage grade of 67.3, according to PFF. Now, I'm guilty. I talk about the testing numbers a lot, but here is the RAS score, the testing numbers in composite for Cooper McDonald. And I think you would forgive me for not thinking that this guy was particularly eye-popping, especially in light of Brandon George, who scored a 9.98 out of 10. Neither did Brandon George particularly stand out on the field. But Cooper McDonald here, 6.37 overall grade, 6'2" 2/10, 235 pounds, 21 reps on the bench press. These all go to a composite size grade of good. Explosion numbers, which you normally think are pretty important for a linebacker. You got to explode through the tackle, right? Explode through the line. 33-inch vertical leap scores 5.54. 9-foot 1-inch broad jump scores 1.68. 40-yard dash of 4.66 is a 7.69 score. It's a good score, but a very impressive 10-yard split at 1.55, which is a 9.66 out of 10 score. Unfortunately, important for football drills, composite agility grades are poor. Short shuttle number of 4.6, which scores out of 10 1.49, and then a 3-cone drill of 7.19, which is a good score of 6.09. Now, these are not particularly compelling numbers. The stats weren't particularly compelling, and he didn't really stand out on tape if you ask me. That doesn't mean he can't play football. In fact, let's look at some of the other Kansas City Chiefs linebackers. If you scroll down, I think that the immediate thought process here, you've got a UDFA linebacker. Who is he competing against to make the roster? It's the other UDFA linebacker in Brandon George. That is not the case. I think that Brandon George is likely headed for the practice squad, but this is the player with whom you are likely competing. Cam Jones, who scores a 5.6 RAS at 6'1", 226 pounds with 17 bench press reps. Just to refresh, Cooper McDonald is an inch taller, 9 pounds heavier, did 4 more bench press reps. Cooper McDonald has the exact same vertical leap. He did the broad jump with a 9'1" broad jump. Cooper McDonald also had a 4.66 40-yard dash as opposed to 4.69, which means that he was 3/100ths of a second better. The 10-yard split scores are exactly the same. The short shuttle is better for Cam Jones. He did a 4.4 versus the 4.6 of Cooper McDonald. But the 3-cone drill goes to Cooper McDonald with a score of 7.1, or a time of 7.19 versus 7.3. So you have a player who has an overall RAS score of almost 0.8 of a point better. So he is a better athlete, than is Cam Jones. I think Cam Jones' film was more impressive in college, but Cooper McDonald is a better athlete. Now, here's the linebacker that I said you would think was the linebacker with whom Cooper McDonald would be competing. 9.98 RAS score, which is 3.61 points better than Cooper McDonald. 6'3" 2/10 versus 6'2", 246 pounds versus 235, but also 246 pounds versus 226 for Cam Jones. 28 bench press reps versus 21, a 42.5-inch vertical, nearly 10 inches better than the 33 put up by Cooper McDonald. A 10-foot 8-inch broad jump, which is a foot and 7 inches better than Cooper McDonald's. A 4.65 40 is just 1/100th of a second better. His 10-yard split is actually slower than Cooper McDonald's, a 1.55 versus Brandon George's 1.59. And not even worth talking about the agility drills because Brandon George's are so much better. But Brandon George, I think, is destined for the practice squad, likely to be a Jack Cochran replacement next year. That is to say, the 4th or 5th linebacker, depending on how many the Chiefs keep. Jack Cochran has been a special teams ace this far in his career, and I think that is where Brandon George is aiming for on the roster after this season. Spend a little bit of time getting some seasoning on the practice squad, learning a couple more things about football, being a little bit more assignment sound, but he doesn't have to be particularly great at the sport of football to be good at special teams. That's where Brandon George will stand out. Cooper McDonald, I think, might be the stand-in for Cam Jones this season. But, not a whole lot of upside there, right? Athlete scores 6.37 on the RAS. Can he really step onto the field in the NFL? Well, if you think he can't, if you think an athlete that scores a 6.37 is not good enough to start on defense for an NFL team, why don't you tell that to Nick Bolton, who scored a 4.6? Who scored a 4.6 and is absolutely dominating in the NFL. Well, I say dominating. Maybe it's not dominating. He's a very good linebacker, very good starting linebacker. So Cooper McDonald is nearly 3 inches taller. Cooper McDonald is just 2 pounds lighter, did 3 fewer bench press reps. Cooper McDonald had 1 inch better on the vertical. He had 6 inches worse on the broad jump. They had he had 6/100ths of a second worse on the 40-yard dash, but his 10-yard split was a 1.55 versus a 1.71 for Nick Bolton. That is a terrible 10-yard split for Bolton. The short shuttle, Nick Bolton is better by 1/10, of a second, and the 3-cone drill, Cooper McDonald is basically 0.2 better than Nick Bolton. So if Nick Bolton can be a starting linebacker in the NFL and a good one for as long as he has, Cooper McDonald looks a whole lot like Nick Bolton if you're looking at the measurables. And in fact, by the overall composite score, Cooper McDonald is better than Nick Bolton. This is not to say that he is a better or more complete or smarter football player. It's just to say that by the measurables, Cooper McDonald is a better athlete than is Nick Bolton. The football player aspect of things is completely different. So, if we're talking about Cam Jones and maybe replacing Cam Jones on the roster, what are you looking at? Well, it is incredibly wild what Cam Jones has managed to do by snap counts in his first 2 seasons. In 2023, he played 81 snaps of defense, 283 snaps of special teams. In 2024, he played 80 snaps of defense, 284 snaps of special teams. The exact same number of snaps both seasons, just one more on defense and one fewer on special teams his first season than his second season. So I think that might be the kind of role into which Cooper McDonald would be walking into on this team. That's not the biggest role in the world, but certainly it's not the smallest role either. You're looking at 80 reps of defense, probably, I didn't go back and check, I should have gone back and checked, but probably most of those are the final week of the regular season where the Kansas City Chiefs have an elective bye week, and a whole lot of special teams all the way through the year. So Cam Jones and Jack Cochran have both been basically special teamers for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs have an, I would say, unusually strong history of UDFA linebackers, picking them up after the draft, and them making the team and being special teamers for the Kansas City Chiefs for a few years. Both Cam Jones and Jack Cochran joined the team that way, and there have been several through the past several years. But I think that if Cooper McDonald is to make the team, it will be at the expense of Cam Jones. It is unlikely to be at the expense of Jack Cochran because Jack Cochran is not a super athlete, but he has incredibly good measurables in some departments. And that would be an upset for the roster, I think. Cam Jones has been around for 2 years. You see it there. Played 161 snaps of defense for the Chiefs and 567 snaps of special teams. So this might be the one UDFA to make the roster this season. The Chiefs have a UDFA make the roster basically every year. At least one make the roster basically every year. I thought that Knowles, the defensive back, was going to be one of the players who did make the roster this year. I have heard nothing about him through thus far in training camp. There's still 3 preseason games where any number of these UDFA could make their move. But it doesn't appear to me that that is likely at this point. The Chiefs are also stacked at defensive back. I thought that Elijah Badger was likely to make the team. I thought that Mac Delana, after making plays the first 2 days of training camp, might make the team. It appears that neither of them will either. But I think that there will be a whole lot of UDFA represented on the practice squad this season. So if Cooper McDonald makes the roster, that's 2 years in a row where one of the players that I have not made a video about makes the roster. Last year, it was Christian Roland Wallace. I thought the Chiefs were too stacked at defensive back for a UDFA to make the roster. Didn't make that video. He made the roster. This year, Cooper McDonald looks like he might be in good shape to make the roster. I did not make that video. he might make the roster. Next year, what I'm going to do is pick my very favorite prospect from the UDFA class and not make a video about that player, and probably everything will work out. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.